12 years ago, I started teaching others how to trade just for the heck of it, and it ended up turning into a business. A few years ago, I started a Trading Coach podcast just for fun, and it ended up turning into another revenue stream. So here's the thing. If I can do it, and you guys know me, then anyone can. Find something you're passionate about, share your knowledge or your experiences, and start a show using Spotify. Why Spotify? Well, because they make it super easy to record, edit, schedule, and monetize all from your computer or even your phone. And best of all, it's free. So get started today at spotify.com/podcasters or download the Spotify for Podcasters app. And hey, if you need any help with podcast ideas or topics, let me know. I'll help you out. Hey guys, Akil Stokes here. Welcome back to the Trading Coach podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to avoid trading mistakes, and not just saying don't do it, but talking about where these mistakes stem from and how to put yourself in the right mindset to avoid them and not fall victim to it. Check it out. This may be one of those opportunities where you may have to do one of two things: eat a trade because you're not comfortable with your stop loss. And if you move your stop loss to the level that you feel comfortable at, then it no longer gives you a positive risk reward requirement. Or keep your stop loss at a level where it's a safe stop because it's above our last kind of shift, but it's not as safe as you prefer it to be because it's not above the bigger level of structure. And the honest truth is, guys, sometimes it bees like that. I don't know if you guys have ever had opportunities like that, but sometimes even if you give yourself a range where it's like 1 to 2 ATR stop, sometimes you just can't get a stop loss in the perfect location. Sometimes you have to settle for good instead of great. And I can tell you this, the best way to deal with that is to just mentally accept it. Right? Let me ask you guys this. Have you ever had, I think I know the answer already. Have you ever had to do something that you didn't want to do, but you had to do it? I mean, I wouldn't know what that is, right? I've gotten to the point in my career where I only do the things that I want to do, right? Because I'm so wealthy. But seriously, have you ever had to do something that you didn't want to do, whether it's wash the car, fill up gas, do the dishes, take the kids to a dumb birthday party of some kid that you barely even know, but he invited his whole class to the party, so now you have to go to and act like you know these people and you really don't? Just giving an example, right? It's one of those things where if you just there's nothing you can do about it. I'm sure there's something you can do about it, but you've already decided, I have to do this thing. So mentally, you just make the best out of it. Mentally, you just say hey, this birthday party is going to suck, but I'm going to do it. Or I know I got to take my car in. I know the starter's about to go. They're going to give me a bill. I just got to accept it. And when you accept it, and this in general, in trading, is all about accepting the risk from a mental perspective. When you accept the risk, it's much easier to handle, right? When you accept the risk, it's much easier to handle. And here's the thing about trading, right? So there's two levels of trading, right? There's a lot of newer traders that come into the market and they assume that they're never going to lose, right? I think and I think we've been a big part of that just because we've been preaching a consistent message. Not by we, I mean myself, I mean Jason Greystone, I mean Todd Brown, I mean Jason Stapleton, right? The mentors that I learned from. And there's a lot of friends that I have out there that are educators that preach the same thing. I think as a whole, the good guys are kind of changing the scene, changing the idea of what trading is from the bad guys that kind of tell you it's 100% win, never lose, $1 million a month, all that fun stuff. But there still is the general idea, and I get this because I get DMs from newer traders all the time. I got one the other day, a trader that was winning at 60% and complaining. And I'm like, dude, I'll take that, please. I'll take a 60% win percentage. Give it to me. He's like, but what about that other 40%? I got to clean that up. I'm like, do you? No, just make money. But there's this idea that you have to win all the time. right? And the first shift that you have to make in trading is understanding your number. Understanding that you don't have to win all the time. Because when you understand that you don't have to win all the time, losses don't hurt as much, right? Losses don't hurt as much. Quarterbacks in the NFL, they understand they're going to get sacked at some point. They're going to throw an interception, right? I don't think there's ever been a quarterback, like a starting quarterback that played, that hasn't thrown an interception at some point. It could be your fault. It could be fluky. It doesn't matter. There's not a goalie that went the entire season keeping a clean sheet, whether we're talking about hockey or soccer or whatever, right? Stuff is going to happen. You need to accept that this is part of the business. And when you can accept that it's part of the business, it no longer stings as much, right? It no longer stings as much because it's expected. And this goes back to back testing and knowing your numbers. And once you know your numbers, you know your expectations. If you've done 1 million hours of back testing, you know that you win at 60% of the time. You know that 40% of the time you're going to lose. And instead of those losses being like, oh, they're scary, you're like, oh, that's just part of the deal. It's like, it's no different than any business that has kind of, expenses, right? I told you a story probably last year about, my kids went to some gas station. I bought them like a smoothie, Slurpee, one of those things, right? And they spilled it right at the counter, right? Kids will be kids, right? Whole thing spilled, big splat on the ground. And the cashier said, just, it's cool, we'll clean it up, go back and get another one, right? Do you think that gas station doesn't build in costs for like accidents like that or stuff going missing, right? That's built in, it happens. It doesn't happen on a regular basis, hopefully, but it happens. Same thing at like, a fast food restaurant where you return a meal because like you said no pickles and they give you pickles. And now they got to throw that old burger away, right? That's built in. That's the cost of doing business. They accept that. And when you can accept it, it's easier to handle. So with having a stop loss in not an ideal position, it's not ideal. But I can tell you the best way to handle it is that you accept it. You tell yourself that, hey, it's in a safe position. It could be better. So I'm at a little bit more risk than what I would prefer to be at, but I'm accepting that added risk for the opportunity to be involved in this trade. And the key with accepting it is this. Accepting it limits your mistakes, right? Brett Steenbarger, great mind in the trading business. One of the great trading psychologists out there, right? In my opinion. Really good books that go underread. One book we don't mention enough is called The Daily Trading Coach. If you want like a reference guide, make sure you check out The Daily Trading Coach. So many great lessons in there. I don't know why it's not talked about that much, but great reference guide, great book. But one of the best lessons I learned from him was there's a difference between stress and de-stress, right? Stress and de-stress. As traders, we're always stressed, right? We're always stressed. We are trading financial markets. We never actually have no idea what's happening or any idea what's happening. It's moving up and down. Half the time we don't know why. Half the time we think it's going to go up and it goes down, right? News is coming out and it's going one way, full steam, and then it goes the other way, full steam, right? We've got money on the line and we're basically gambling, right? Now we're educated gamblers, professional gamblers, but we're basically gambling, right? We don't actually have any say over what the market does, right? It's a stressful job, especially when you have big money on the line. But that's okay. That's doing business. Air traffic controllers, stressful job, right? There's a lot of stressful jobs out there. People operating high-level machinery where you make one mistake and someone's life could be on the line. Stressful job, right? That's okay. It's okay to be stressed. Where we get into trouble is when we get into a state of distress. That's panic. Because when we panic, we make sporadic decisions. When we panic, that's when we push the wrong button and drop something on one of our coworkers. When we panic, that's when we send an aircraft in the wrong direction and now they're going right towards another one and we freeze up and we don't know how to get ourselves out of that situation. When we panic, that's when the market moves against us, and instead of honoring our stop loss, we freak out and we move it back. Or when price is going towards our target and we get a candle that looks negative and we just take it out because we're scared. Distress is what causes us to make mistakes. And I can tell you this, traders, well, most traders don't fail because they lose trades. Right? Again, losses are a part of business. If you set your trading up correctly, you've done things the right way, you have your wins, you have your losses, right? Your P&L sheet takes, your balance sheet takes both of them into account, just like any other business, and your wins should make up for your losses, right? Your profit should outweigh your losses. If it doesn't, then you're doing something wrong or you have a bad trading plan, right? What sabotages that is mistakes. Mistakes are what throw something into the formula. You have this formula, this set of gears that's working and does what it's supposed to do. A mistake is when something slips into the formula that's not supposed to be there. And that's when you start getting unpredictable long-term results. And that's what kills traders. So just having that, just getting yourself in that right mindset of saying, I'm accepting this for what it is. If you were to get stopped out, you're not panicking. You're not in a sense of or state of distress because in your mind, you've already accepted like, hey, this could happen. And I'm okay with that. And in trading in general, not just in this situation, we're talking about stop losses, but in trading in general, live trading where you're putting money on the line. I've always said this, right? Two things. It's going to sound bad, right? One, always assume you're going to lose. And I don't say that to be negative or I started off with a very pessimistic kind of mindset in my life and I'm moving towards optimistic, right? I think I'm there. But expect that you're going to lose. And two, be okay with that. And that means never trade more than what you're willing to risk or more than what you're willing to lose. If you are trading an amount that you aren't willing to lose, just like gambling in a casino, right? If you're trading an amount that you aren't willing to lose, should you really be trading it? No. You need to accept the risk. Think of it like poker. When I enter a trade, I'm taking my chips, whatever I decided to bet, and I'm okay with that bet, and I'm pushing them into the middle of the table. And once they're in the middle of the table, you can't just reach in and grab them back. Trust me. You'll come back with a nub. Someone will slice your hand off, right? You can't just reach onto the middle of the table and grab those chips back. They're there until the game plays out. And sometimes you get your chips back. Sometimes you get your chips and more chips back. Sometimes you never get those chips back. But the point is, when you decide to place that bet, when you decide to push those chips into the middle of the table, you accept it and agreed that I'm okay with the possible outcome that they may never come back. And that's what we need to do in trading. Accept that on a regular basis, and that's how we'll avoid mistakes. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hey, if you're interested in learning more about trading, make sure you check out our website, www.tier1trading.com. I recommend the 14-day risk-free trial. It gives you access to a few courses, a few live sessions, and of course, a great community of traders. I always recommend the 14-day trial first. That way you can make sure that our teaching style and our trading style is the right fit for you before making the commitment to learn with us. So www.tier1trading.com. Head over there, 14 days, risk-free, no auto bill. Sign up, and I'll see you there.